Coach, thanks for joining us. You're on mute there. Go ahead with your questions, everyone.
Coach, you're going into a Pittsburgh game where you have a chance to win two in a row against the Steelers. What do they pose as the most challenge for you?
They're a great football team. They've won a lot of games. They won a lot of games last year. 2020 is 2020. We're all moving on, but you see a really physical defense. You see an offense with a lot of playmakers. They're always good on special teams, and it's going to be tough playing on the road. So we got to get ready for the challenge.
Thank you.
Zach, a few injuries you want to run through. First, let's start with Trey Waynes. What's his availability, you think, for this week?
Yeah, we'll see as he gets out there to practice. It'll be his first time practicing this week, so we'll ease him into it and just see how he feels.
Xavier Su'a-Filo?
We'll take him day to day. He will not go today. We'll limit him early this week.
And finally, T. Higgins.
Yeah, T will be the same day to day. Don't expect him to practice today. We'll see where he's at tomorrow, and then try to get him going on Friday.
Zach, I know we asked you about your confidence in Jackson Carman, but could we see Deontay Smith potentially get some reps at right guard as well as you kind of weigh things here with Xavier Su'a-Filo?
We'll see how the week unfolds. We do have confidence in both those guys, Jackson and Deontay. They both showed really good things this preseason. Again, Frank's really pushed those guys on the scout team, during different portions of practice where he gets his hands on them, gets to work on the one-on-one stuff. So, we have confidence in both those guys if they have to play.
Coach, you kind of laugh sometime when you see somebody say, well, Ben Roethlisberger's doubtful. They say that a lot of times, but in your mind, you have every belief that he's just going to play.
He's tough, and he's able to take some hits. He took some tough hits in the last game, so you can see why someone would be sore after that. But, again, you always get a really good player on Sunday, and that's what we got to be ready for.
Thank you.
What do you remember about the matchups between Tyler Boyd and Mike Hilton over the last couple seasons?
Well, Mike has been a difficult matchup for us at a lot of different positions, and he was always good in coverage. We had a shot 2 years ago. We felt like we had a shot for a big 80-yard touchdown, and Mike put pressure on the quarterback on a nickel blitz and took it away from us, made us check the ball down. So we're glad he's on our team.
What impresses you, Zach, about Keith Butler over the years? He's been obviously with Tomlin for such a long time. What impresses you about Butler and the way he runs his defense?
It's an aggressive but disciplined defense. They have outstanding players, but when those guys aren't out there, the next man up plays very similarly. And so you can see that they're well coached, they're disciplined, they have the right mentality, and they cause a lot of problems for the opposing team's offenses.
Zach, obviously last year, those two matchups with them, you had two very different game plans for various, obviously, different reasons. How much do you look back at maybe what you weren't able to do in that first game, because that's when Joe quarterback, versus what you did do in the Monday night, or do you take some things away from that Monday night game?
Well, the first game we had two early turnovers. That really hurt us. We had a punt return for a fumble, so we lost a possession there in the first half, and then we were making some progress, and we fumbled at about midfield. So that's really what you take away early in that game, and that's what they feed off of, and then they score points, and then they got a lead, and then they tee off on you. So, again, we just got to be disciplined playing on the road in the noise. We got to be very detailed, and we got to take great care of the ball.
Could you compare Minkah Fitzpatrick? Is there anybody that comes to mind, jumps to mind? Minkah Fitzpatrick reminds me of this type of safety, or is he kind of in his own category?
Jesse, they can go get the ball. They can take the ball away. They can cover a lot of ground on the field. They're not afraid to come down and cover. They got Minkah playing some nickel this year, so he's a very versatile player. He can do a lot of things. They got some really good I guess in a sense he's a veteran. He's several years into this thing. Obviously, we think of him as a veteran because he's been a great player at playing at a high level for a number of years. And, so they got a lot of guys similar to him with that similar mindset where they're always on the same page.
Zach, this team in recent years has really, really struggled to win road games. Obviously, it's tough to win on the road. But does it get to a point for you where you feel like we need to change up the routine, or you need to change kind of the process in a road game to get a different mojo going or a different mindset going for a player, for the staff?
No, we just need to play better.
When you went back and went through the film, what were some of the things you identified were the reasons why you weren't able to run the ball as effectively as you did in week one?
Well, we just couldn't sustain the possessions there, and so 20 carries for 60 yards, and they weren't bad runs. You know, we didn't have any bad. We were just missing probably a yard to 4 yards on a couple of those carries for a number of reasons up front, perimeter blocking, back, whatever the reason was. And again, if you can not put yourself in that 17-point hole in the fourth quarter, a lot of times, like we did, you know, in the Minnesota game, you rack up another 40 yards there in the fourth quarter. Now you have a 100-yard rushing performance. So it's all how you look at it. Look at the Raiders; they had 15 carries for 15 yards with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then they get in 4-minute mode and they tack some more on there. So it usually a lot of the times the fourth quarter, the outcome there determines where your rushing performance is analyzed. You know, whether it was successful or not. When you just got to stick with the plan and keep with it, and eventually the dam breaks and you get some bigger runs there.
Zach, when you were
After
reshaping,
seeing a couple flags last week and knowing what these division games can be, do you have to revisit the taunting issue with the team this week?
We do every week. You know, we knew at some point that was going to come up to bite you. You know, ultimately you can call it a draw last game. We really just remember the one that went against us. And so again, the players just have to understand, even sometimes they think it's harmless. They're just talking to a guy on the other team, nothing bad about it, but that's just what they're looking for. And so we have to be smart, play by the rules. They've sent plenty of videos. They've warned us, and, you know, they did a good job in the preseason warning us. Hey, that could have been a flag there. Make sure you talk to your players about it. And we have. We've shown all those clips, shown the clips around the league, but we can't take a penalty in those situations.
Do you think there should be a warning before a call is made on taunting? You said
they've warned everybody. You know, they've sent videos. They've warned everybody. You got to be disciplined. Celebrate with your teammates.
So no warnings. You don't think there needs to be any warnings during the game, like, hey, you know, knock it off. The next one, it's going to cost your team big time.
Doesn't matter what I think. That's the way it's happening, and we better be ready to handle it.
Got it.
Zach, when you were reshaping your offensive line this offseason, how much did you have Pittsburgh or teams in line with good defensive fronts that y'all are going to face 6 times a year?
Yeah, that's just where you got to start, you know, with the ones that you're going to face 6 times, and we face really good fronts. You know, really our draw in the first 3 games have been against really good fronts, you know, and so that's been a challenge for us. It's good. It's going to break our guys in the right way. We're going to face some really good ones up front and get us battle tested. It's a long season. Our guys are going to have to endure that. And so, again, there's a lot of things that we can correct that we know we can be better at, and we're excited to get another opportunity to do that on Sunday.
When you were looking at Jackson Carman specifically, was there something about him that you liked that would specifically with the opposition that you face in the division?
Yeah, flexibility. You know, we knew he played a lot of tackle. He's practiced at Clemson in all areas of the offensive line. We knew he could play guard. We know he's a big guy, so he's stout at the point of attack. He's also really athletic to be able to move in space. A lot of times for the guards, they got to get up to the second level and get backers cut off and be athletic enough to cut off some guys on the backside. And so he showed all those traits as a tackle on tape. And he had a high football IQ. You know, that's one thing that he processed really well. We interviewed him several times on the Zooms. Felt really good about his mental IQ. And again, that showed up here these last couple of weeks as we've had him in the building and at practice.
What do you think he's improved? Yeah, just kind of getting in on that. What do you think he's shown since training camp? How is he?
Everything. You know, it's these guys got to make mistakes early on. It takes some guys just a minute to get adjusted to life in this league and how we practice and the competition you're playing against. And you know, he's no different than I mean, we sat in here and talked about Jamar for 4 weeks and the challenges he had in training camp. And every position's just a little bit different. And again, you just got to be patient with him. And it's going to come. And you know, when Jackson does play for us, it's not always going to be perfect. We know that. We just don't make the same mistake twice. Keep learning, keep communicating with the guys around you, and good things will come. And because he's got a lot of talent, he's a smart football player. He wants to do well, so good things come with that.
How important is getting better production from your running backs in terms of blocking going to be for you moving forward with 2 games with pretty notable issues from them missing blocks in the game?
I mean, we had the leading rusher in the NFL after 1 game. So I think things went well in the first week. And then the second week, we faced a really good front. I mean, I think there's more money invested in that front than any team in the league. And so we knew that there was going to be challenges. They rushed the passer. They hit the quarterback. Watching Buffalo and Oakland, these quarterbacks got hit a lot by Pittsburgh. And so we know that it's going to be a physical, bloody game in protection in the run game. We're ready for it. We've seen it over and over and over. Our guys are excited about that opportunity to showcase what they can do.
Last week you talked about go ahead, Jay.
Everybody likes to say it's one of 17 games. They all count the same. But for a young team trying to turn something around, playing a team that has had the success the Steelers have, does this one mean more?
Well, I think for a number of reasons, we want to have early success in the season to help ourselves build momentum. And so a road win versus a divisional team does a lot that way, and then just you've got to win games in this division. That's one thing that we have got to do a better job of, and it starts this week against Pittsburgh. And so, again, our guys are excited. This is an important one. It is Pittsburgh. It's a divisional game. It's a road game. We got a lot of work in front of us here these next 4 days to get ready.
Zach, one thing that Joe said about Minkah Fitzpatrick is when you read the defense and you read where he is, he's not going to wind up where you expect him to be. As an offensive play caller like yourself or Brian, how does that make it challenging going into a game like this?
It does. Obviously it's a little easier for me and Brian because we're watching the tape and pointing out all the things on the tape. Joe's the one that's got to be out there and process it live in person. And sometimes these safeties, they've got a kind of a quarterback mentality. Whether it's just ingrained on them or they've been taught it, they kind of know what the quarterback's looking at and they do a good job giving you some different looks that can put you in a tough spot. And Minkah's one of those guys that does that. They have a lot of confidence in him. They obviously use him a lot of different ways because he's a smart football player and can handle it. And, so again, he's a real test for us.
Last week you talked about preparing for two very different types of quarterbacks. He kind of had to be prepared for both. When the opposing team on the other side of the ball has a defensive player that's questionable, do you have to prepare the same for someone who might, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to prepare for their guys to play. They got really good players. They got really good depth, and they've missed guys that have just stepped in and they really don't miss a beat. And so again, we've got to be ready for all their starters to play, but we know that if they don't, they got really good depth behind them. That those guys have done a good job.
What is the one thing you can't let their defense do? The one or two things that you can't let them do that they've done in the past to you?
Take the ball away. That's. We really felt like in the first half of that first time we played them, that we had a good plan and there were some good things happening. And then those two turnovers really put us in a hole. They capitalized on them early, and we cannot allow that to happen.
2 more minutes.
You watched a lot of quarterback play over the years. You've seen Ben Roethlisberger with a lot of snaps. What does he do best? What do you respect most about Ben Roethlisberger as a quarterback?
Well, his toughness. There's not a lot he hasn't seen, and he knows he gets the ball out quick. I mean, you just watch every pass, back to back, balls out. So, he got hit some last week, but he also gets the ball out a heck of a lot and gets it out very fast because he knows he can recognize the defense. He knows where the holes are. He can get the ball out quick. He also knows when to take his shots. He's got some really talented receivers and tight ends, and he finds the matchup. He knows when he's got his opportunity to do it. He doesn't sit there and hold on to the ball all day. He knows how to put air on the ball and let those guys run to it. And they've done a good job of that over the years, going back to Mike Wallace and Antonio Brown, all those guys. He's always done an excellent job of finding the matchups and taking shots. And so, again, that's a big challenge for our secondary and our rush to get there in time to take that stuff away.
Zach, how do you feel like the offensive line has played through 2 games as a whole, as a unit?
I think that they're improving, and the first game, we did some really good stuff in the run game. We know that there are going to be some challenges in protection. I've said this before. All those hits aren't on the linemen. This last game, those hits weren't all on the linemen. And really, I don't care what's defined as a hit. I know that these things get categorized as hits, but people put a hand on him. Joe feels good after it. Lots made of it, I'm sure people watch the Bears play other teams and they hit the quarterback. People watch the Steelers, they hit the quarterback. We're going to be ready for it. We're going to have a great plan in place. Got a lot of confidence in our linemen.
One more question. Anyone?
Thank you all. Appreciate it.